Today, we are going to crack the code on what makes a successful online personality. We're going to do it by deconstructing a single, really powerful sentence that, believe it or not, reveals the entire hidden formula behind digital influence. And I promise you, by the end of this, you will never look at online content the same way again.
Okay, so take a look at this. At first glance, it just looks like a simple description, right? It's the kind of thing you would type into an AI image generator to get a stock photo. Indian male finance educator, mid-30s, casual shirt. It seems pretty straightforward, almost boring. But what if I told you this isn't a description at all? What if single word you just read is a deliberate choice? That this isn't just some random prompt, but a carefully crafted formula. The exact recipe designed to build trust, establish authority, and hook a massive audience.
To really get this, we have to start with the person right at the center of it all. So let's decode the persona.
Look, this identity is no accident. It is an absolutely strategic choice. Indian male, you are tapping into one of the largest, most digitally native audiences on the planet. Finance educator, you're hitting a topic that literally everyone is hungry for. And mid-30s, well, that's just the sweet spot, isn't it? Old enough to be credible, but young enough to be relatable. It is a perfectly engineered identity for the modern internet.
But you know, having a powerful persona is only half the battle. To really connect with people, you've got to build trust. And that is where the environment and the presentation style come in. This prompt carefully selects every prop and even the clothes to do just that.
Think about it. The choice of a whiteboard. Why not some slick, polished PowerPoint? Well, because a whiteboard signals authenticity. It makes you feel like you're in a real classroom, a place for raw ideas and actual teaching, not a corporate sales pitch. It's a visual cue that just screams, I'm here to teach you something, not to sell you something.
And that feeling of authenticity gets pushed even further with the uniform. A casual shirt makes him seem approachable, right? More like a smart friend than some stuffy banker in a suit. And that excited expression, that is so key. It transforms finance from this dry, intimidating subject into something that feels fascinating, even fun. It's a performance of passion.
But here's the twist. Don't let that casual, authentic vibe fool you, because underneath all of that is a layer of incredible technical sophistication. The professional polish is what takes us from just a simple video to a truly powerful piece of communication.
This is where the real magic happens. Every single technical choice here is designed for psychological impact. Studio lighting? It just looks professional, controlled. 4K quality? That signals this is high-value content. A close shot? That creates intimacy, a connection. And that slow camera push-in? Oh, that's a classic filmmaking trick. It physically draws you in, makes you feel like you're about to be told a secret.
So when the prompt uses the word cinematic, it's not just about looking pretty. It's about using the secret language of movies to make a simple lesson feel as compelling as a Hollywood blockbuster. It keeps you glued to the screen, absorbing everything without you even realizing how it's being done.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. We've got the perfectly engineered persona, we have the carefully chosen tools of trust, and it's all wrapped up in this hidden layer of professional, cinematic polish. We've basically just cracked the entire code.
And this is the most stunning part of all. This entire, incredibly complex formula for manufacturing a human connection, for building trust, for projecting authority, it has all been reverse engineered and boiled down into one simple, repeatable command for an AI.
And this brings us to a huge and maybe even a little unsettling question. That line of code, it's not just a description anymore. It's a blueprint for the ideal influencer, one that can be generated on demand instantly. So in a world where the perfect, most trustworthy teacher can be created with a single command, what does authenticity even mean anymore? And maybe more importantly, how will we ever be able to tell the difference?
All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something that can feel super complicated, Indian income tax. But don't worry, no jargon, no confusion. We're just going to take a real-world example and break it all down step by step. By the end of this, you'll get exactly how it works.
Let's start with this number right here, 17 lakh rupees. Imagine that's your annual income. It's a pretty good salary, right? But it also brings up a really big question.
So how much tax do you actually pay on this? You know, your first instinct might be to just slap a high tax rate on the whole thing, but that's not how it works at all. The real answer is in something called tax slabs. And honestly, the final number is probably a lot less than you'd guess. So let's just dive right in and see what's going on.
Okay, so before we can start crunching any numbers, we got to understand the rules of the game. And when it comes to income tax, the rules are the tax slabs.
Now this right here is probably the most important thing to get your head around. Your entire 17 lakh salary is not taxed at one single flat rate. Nope. Instead, I want you to picture your income being sliced up into different pieces, and each one of those pieces gets taxed at its own unique rate.
And here they are. This table shows you exactly what those slices or slabs look like under the new tax regime. It kind of works like a ladder, right? Or maybe like filling up buckets. As your income fills up one bucket, it starts to spill over into the next one, which has a higher tax rate. And here's the best part, for sure. Look at that first row. The first 3 lakh rupees you earn, completely tax-free, zero tax.
All right, so now that we know the rules, let's get to the fun part, the calculation. We're going to see exactly how our 17 lakhs fits into these different buckets. This is where it all starts to make sense.
So we've got our 17 lakh salary. Let's start with the very first slice of it. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to do.
And if you remember the rules we just looked at, the tax rate for this slab is 0%, which means the tax on this first chunk of your income is 0. A nice big 0. Pretty simple, right?
Okay, so that was easy. Now let's move on to the next 3 lakhs chunk of our income. This is the part of your salary that falls between 3 lakhs and 6 lakhs. For this slice, the tax rate is 5%. So we calculate 5% of this 3 lakh rupee portion. And it's really important, it's only on this portion. And that comes out to 15,000 rupees. That's the first bit of tax we have to pay.
Okay, you're probably starting to see the pattern here, right? We're just climbing the ladder. So next up is the income you earn between 6 and 9 lakh rupees.
And for this bracket, the rate goes up to 10%. So 10% of this 3 lakh chunk is 30,000 rupees. We'll just add that to our running total.
And we just keep going like this, all the way up. So for the chunk from 9 to 12 lakhs, it's 15%. That's 45,000. For the next one, 12 to 15 lakhs, the rate is 20%, which gives us 60,000. Now remember, our total salary is 17 lakhs, so we've got 2 lakhs left over that fall into that very top slab. We apply the 30% rate only to that remaining 2 lakhs, which adds a final 60,000 to our pile. All right, that was the hard part. Seriously, we figured out the tax for each little piece of the income puzzle. Now all we have to do is add it all up. And this is so crucial. We don't just take that top 30% rate and apply it to everything. No way. We take the tax we calculated from each individual slab and add them together. So that's the 15,000 plus the 30,000 plus the 45, and then the two 60,000 rupee amounts.
And when you add all of that up, you get a total base tax of 2,10,000 rupees. Now think about that for a second. It's not 30% of 17 lakhs. That would have been over 5 lakhs. See how much of a difference the slab system makes? It's way, way less.
But wait, we're not quite done yet. There's one last little step. It's called the Health and Education Cess. And the key thing to know here is that this is a 4% charge on the tax amount we just calculated, not on your total income. That's a super important distinction.
So we take 4% of our 2,10,000 rupee base tax, which works out to 8,400 rupees. We add that to the total, and there it is. Our final total tax for the year, 2,18,400 rupees.
Okay, so we've done all the math, we've crunched the numbers, but what does all this actually mean for what's left in your bank account at the end of the day? Let's take a look at the big picture.
Yeah, this chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got your total income, the full 17 lakhs. That much smaller bar in the middle, that's the total tax we just figured out. And the big bar on the right? Well, that's what you actually get to take home, your in-hand income for the year. It just makes the whole breakdown so much clearer when you see it like this.
You know, there's this great quote from a French finance minister way back in the 17th century, Jean-Baptiste Colbert, and it really just perfectly sums up the idea behind a tax system like this. The whole point is to make sure everyone contributes fairly based on what they can earn, and to structure it so it feels gradual, instead of one giant, painful hit.
So look, the real takeaway here isn't just that final number. It's the method. It's understanding the how. You now have the basic tools to figure this out for yourself. So the only real question left is, now that you know this, how's it going to change the way you look at your next payslip?